The MS Society of Canada is in the middle of a treatment battle, and their opponents are people fighting MS. Julie Goodwin is a chapter chair for the MS Society of Canada, but she's going against the advice of the organization and the government and getting liberation therapy. The treatment opens blocked veins in the neck. It is touted as a life-changing surgery for MS patients. It is not approved in Canada, so Julie is paying thousands of dollars to go to Poland to get the treatment. And right now, she joins us live from Kitchener, Ontario. Good morning.
Good morning.
Tell me about making this decision. What factored in here, because obviously this was not an easy decision to make.
And it really has not been an easy decision to make. I had such hope when the story first broke last fall that Canada would allow and provide the treatment and initially the assessments to see if you do have a blocked vein. And I've been waiting months and months to see if Canada would support this assessment and treatment here.
And how do you think the MS Society is going to react to your decision?
I've really thought about that, and I would hope that I would get a phone call or an email wishing me luck to say that, that I've certainly consulted my family physician, my family, and perhaps even that they would extend an apology to me for not showing a leadership role with this potential treatment. And frankly, for letting me down in this area. The MS Society has been so terrific in funding studies and promoting health and different treatments, but for this one, they're just not there yet.
Well, when the Canadian Institutes of Health Research, they set up an international panel, and they were unanimous. They said, we found overwhelming lack of evidence on the safety and efficacy of the procedure, or even if there is a link between blocked veins and MS. I mean, is this a bit of a leap of faith?
Well, that organization and that entire meeting is quite curious to me and many others. There were not any vascular surgeons or CCSVI experts invited to sit on that panel, invited into those meetings. And so the people who were there were not advocates of the assessment and treatment, and they didn't have the experts that they desperately needed to have that input.
And yet we haven't heard anything that I'm aware of from the vascular surgery community of this country that have come out and said, no, these guys are wrong.
The vascular surgeons of this country have really been silenced. They are allowed to do basic assessments. I think it's probably two or threefold. I think that the government certainly plays a huge role in this situation and in this controversy. I think the MS Society is truly applying some pressure to vascular surgeons.
I have to take a step back. I mean, why would any of those bodies, the government or why would they not be open to this surgery if it holds promise?
That is such a great question. That is such a great question, and it really gets you thinking about what's at play here. Is it politics? Is it money? Is it egos? And I think it's probably a combination of all three.
But I think I need something more specific, because that is a big accusation. I mean, I need to know why you think that. What's at play here? Who's stopping these organizations?
I know that we have to have the government behind it to open the doors to allow the full assessment and treatment in this country. And I know that the vascular surgeons are doing what they can to provide the assessment, and they're so eager to do the treatment.
You're not answering my question.
Okay, what is the question again, please?
Who would be applying pressure on the MS Society and on the government to not open their minds, I guess, to the surgery? Who'd stop them?
Seamus, I don't know. I don't know if it's politicians, if it's the neurologists, if it's the pharmaceutical companies. I know there's such tremendous money in the therapies that are offered now to MS patients, and I think a lot of those factors together are driving this.
You think the
are
pharmaceutical
not allowing
companies, because they make money off of the drugs that are used to treat MS, they are the ones who are applying pressure on the MS Society of Canada or the government?
I think they are, and I think that these other bodies are applying co-pressure. There's so many obstacles that are being thrown up, and very few people are taking a leadership role to open the doors to allow this procedure to be done in Canada, even on a compassionate basis, until those much-needed studies are done.
Well, we obviously wish you nothing but the best of luck with your surgery, Ms. Goodwin, and we appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Seamus, so much.
Julie Goodwin has MS. She also chairs the MS Society chapter in Wellington County. But she wasn't going to tell her national leadership that she's going against their advice and getting a hotly debated treatment.
I really didn't have any intention on informing them.
She's booked at a clinic in Poland that opens veins in patients with MS, contrary to the society position which discourages this treatment until further studies are done on whether this condition is even linked to MS.
They're still really being cautious to the point of utter frustration for those of us like myself who I have no other treatment options. I don't qualify for anything else because my MS is more progressive in nature.
She's not alone. There are several MS Society chapter leaders across Canada defying the national position. Frank Van Orscott, vice chair of the Chatham-Kent chapter, is now determined to send his daughter Pam for treatment.
We've had between 20 and 17 people that are either going or have had it done. And every one of them has shown a marked improvement in their life and functions and everything. So, and we're hoping the same for Pam. But we can't seem to get that across to the MS Society.
The MS Society of Canada has warned that the treatment may pose risks, but in a statement to CTV says, "We recognize that the decision to seek treatment of any kind is a personal one, and we respect these decisions." Still, some MS patients say that it illustrates cracks within the MS Society.
When we see our chapter presidents going for liberation, they're basically breaking ranks from their superiors.
But Julie and Frank say they're just doing what's best for themselves and their families, while highlighting the division between the National MS Society and those on the front line. Avis Favreau, CTV News, Toronto.